everybody, I am Sal.
I'm Tiffany.
I'm Jason.
Hey, Jason's still here from Jason Inman's show.
From youtube.com/Jawin.
Right. Check the description. Go watch the shows.
Yeah, he moved in.
Yeah, he's here now. That's it. He's replaced. Who's he replaced? Find out next week. But today,
he's also putting the moves on you.
Yeah. Oh, hello. But so today we're going to be talking a little bit about the X-Men. We thought from our sister show, Elseworlds Exchange, Jason was on a week ago, and we were talking about how to fix the franchise, the comic book franchise.
Yes, we dropped into this weird tangent where you and I started complaining about our problems with the X-Men franchise.
Yes, and I think that they're problems that everybody seems to have. Nobody disagrees the X-Men are fractured, maybe even broken.
Well, how about we state what they are? We have X-Men Blue, we have X-Men Gold, and X-Men Blue...
Blue's the time-displaced young X-Men.
From All New X-Men, Brian Michael Bendis introduced. They were like 5 years ago?
Yeah, I think
4
so.
4 years ago? Somewhere in there, okay.
Yeah, just about.
And then the other team is like made up of an Old Man Logan from a different reality, a Rachel Gray from a different timeline, some other people, Kitty Pryde.
Yeah, older Kitty Pryde.
Older Kitty Pryde on there. So basically we have a team of time travelers, and then we have a team of X-Men that like probably shouldn't be on the same team with each other.
No, it's a hodgepodge of characters from all different walks of life. I know Colossus is there. And a bunch of other...
But basically they've lost the thing that you can't just be like they're mutants that are hated and feared. You have to explain, no, they're time traveler or alternate reality mutants now.
Yeah. Right. Well, and there's always an asterisk against every X-Men team. Because it's not just X-Men Blue and Gold. You also got Generation X.
Oh, yeah.
You've got the Jean Grey book. You've got Weapon X is a
Cable's
book.
out there
Cable's got his own book. And just trying to explain Cable by himself is a complicated mess.
Cable's not the problem here. I like Cable.
You expressed your love of Nate Gray for a while. That said, but he's a beehive of continuity.
He is. To be honest with you, I as much as I love Cable, I kind of blame Cable for the current problems in the X-Men because Cable, being of course the time lost son of Scott Summers, I think sort of introduced the idea to every X-Men writer of all time that I can break the space-time continuum anytime I want.
Yep. No, definitely. He was the first. He was patient zero for the...
He was the typhoid Mary of this disease that has now infected the X-Men universe.
To the point where they're fragmented, they're fractured, they're everything. Like there's no mission statement X-Men team.
No.
X-Men Gold, X-Men Blue, Generation whatever. They're all just superficial changes. They're not actually fixing the concept. And that's what the problem is. I mean,
they're also changes that aren't generated by a story. They're changes that are generated just by an editorial mandate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
like sales perspective. They're just like, well, those people from 20 years ago will buy them.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. So that's the problem. It's just like they're just putting this team together just to make a new #1, just to make a new thing,
a new product,
exactly. And it's not a story reason.
No, and it doesn't solve the actual problem, which is that the X-Men have gone so far from this concept, which even in of itself, the X-Men had been established like 30 years prior to this. This is like the apex of X-Men for everybody.
Yeah,
it distilled the core concept, but also expanded it to a universal length where you've got like a million mutants and they're all powerhouses and they all have different like pathos.
It's weird. It's kind of weird for me because I sometimes like to think that the new X-Men run done by Grant Morrison in like 2000, 2004, the way that run ends, I kind of like to look at that run as the ending of the X-Men. Yeah. And so everything that happened before, the Dark Phoenix, the Jim Lee stuff, Age of Apocalypse, all that stuff happened, Golden Age, Silver Age, all happened, but it ends with new X-Men. With Grant Morrison. Because he does that final scene with Cyclops and Emma, and Cyclops deciding like, oh, I am going to rebuild the school. And I'm like, oh, the son of Xavier decides to rebuild the school. Yes. You will never top that moment.
No, that's
X-Men are over. And they've been, for me, ever since then, trying to recapture that run, and they've never quite got there.
No, I agree. Every X-Men run for the last, I want to say 15 years.
I think it's a fair point.
Has been trying to recapture some kind of glimmer of the old guard.
And I think the one that got the closest is, I think, Matt Fraction's run. For me, when he moved the mutants to San Francisco. Yeah. And there were glimmers. I'll even give Brian Michael Bendis' all new X-Men. Bringing the kids from the past is an interesting idea, but I think it's an interesting idea as a 10-issue miniseries,
right,
and not an ongoing,
not
series.
a status quo.
Yes, and now they've been in the Marvel Universe for 5 years.
They've been here.
Yeah.
They're practically here now.
Yeah.
So the question is, what do you do now?
How do we fix it?
How do you fix it? What do you do? What's your solution?
I would love to. Do we want to go one by? I would love to
let's
hear
do it.
Tiffany's thoughts. Tiffany, what do you think? What would you do?
Fix it?
How do you fix the X-Men?
Here's the problem with the how do you fix it? Because the number one and number two ways they fix characters is either they get rid of them,
they kill them,
or they get new ones.
Yeah.
And no one's happy with either of those options. We've killed plenty of X-Men. That hasn't worked.
I think every X-Man has died and come
Right?
back now.
You can't kill an X-Man and have it have any gravity.
Is there anybody in this picture that hasn't died and come back? I think the answer is no.
No, right?
I think they've all died and they've all come back, or
Right?
thought dead at one point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Or were replaced by evil doppelgangers.
Yeah, something like that.
And introducing a new character is pretty much the hardest thing that they can try to do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially when you're talking about a group of characters who not only have comic book appeal, but they have movie appeal.
Yep.
They've had animated series appeal.
Well,
So then to be like, no, we're not going to talk about the ones you want to.
Yeah, we're going to talk about these new guys.
Because then we could tell new adventures.
Yeah.
Because if, like, otherwise you might tell us that we're rehashing old adventures.
Right.
I feel like we either have to go so far beyond and like just try something completely different. Like, look, Old Man Logan is so spectacular because it is so different. It's so dark. It's so gritty. It's so like not what you're expecting. Explore them coming to be in this current age of Marvel instead. Like ignore, and I guess I'm really pitching more or less like an Elseworld style, but in the Marvel universe, a what if book. Like, what if the X-Men came to be now? Now. Can you imagine like Colossus dealing with like
With Russia?
Yeah, with Russia right now? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like, and again, it doesn't have to go
Because he was a product of, like, the Soviet era.
Yeah, because there was a lot of stories very early on, and Claremont did this, where he dealt with, his family lived in this poor farm in the Soviet bloc.
Yeah.
So, like, he was very poor.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he represented, like, that time, and they tried to kind of give you a fair, while still, like, comic book written time period, portrayal of Russia.
Right.
And Russians.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be all political. It could just be, like, adventures now, without them having to worry about time travel, without them having to worry about, other dimensions.
Right.
Without them having to worry, well, eventually they have to worry about the Phoenix because you can't escape it.
No.
You just can't get away from it.
Even the new Jean Grey book launched with the Phoenix.
Oh, Lord.
If I were to be given the keys to the X-Men house...
Here you go.
All right, thank you. I'll take that. The X-Men are fractured and broken, like... Let's go full tilt. All the X-Men books are canceled. We're going to disperse them throughout the Marvel Universe.
Oh.
Put them on, they're Avengers.
The mutants
they're
are on different teams.
Defenders, yeah.
Nice.
The mutant problem is that you can't have in the Marvel Universe... It's inarguable in the Marvel Universe to say, Daredevil's okay, Spider-Man's okay, but Wolverine is not okay.
Yeah, and we've had this conversation many times.
You're born with a mutant gene. That makes you...
How can you tell the difference?
How can you even tell the difference? You either have a xenophobic, superhero-hating society, or they're cool with it all.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that like there is room for shades of gray, and that's how they've kind of operated over the last 10 years, but at the same token, I say, throw it away. Like, the X-Men... Like, Charles's dream became a reality, but only in as much as the world became homogenized.
Yeah.
Like, his dream became moot. Nobody cares anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, that couldn't be more proven than the long amount of time he's been dead and how nobody's clamoring to bring him back.
Yeah.
Because, like, he's irrelevant. So, so is the X-Men. I don't care how many people, like, take up the mantle and try to realize Charles' dream. Nobody cares. Like, superficially, nobody cares if mutants are mutants or not.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter anymore. The only issue is if, like, you're contagious of some kind of horrible disease. But that's where they created all those mutant-centric diseases, like Mpox and
the
legacy virus.
Yeah.
Exactly. But, like, throw that crap away. That's the way they did that story already.
Yep.
Disperse them into the Marvel Universe and just be like, no, they're cool. Like when the second team of the Avengers were formed. You had Wanda and Quicksilver as Avengers off the bat. Second team. Boom. Now, I understand they're not mutants anymore. That'll be retconned.
I ignore that.
I reject that retcon.
I do.
No. But yeah, they were mutants on the Avengers right then. Beast was an Avenger. Yeah. Like, move on. We got mutant defenders, mutant Avengers, mutant, like, damage control members, like, whatever. Just everybody's on a team, and you just tell stories you want to tell about those characters in these other contexts.
Mutant damage control, I like that.
Right? Yeah.
Right. I agree with you. I would go even further. I agree with you that every X-Men book is canceled right off the bat. But I'm going hardcore reboot. I'm going Heroes Reborn style of this thing. I am taking the X-Men into their own universe. They will not be connected to the Marvel Universe because I love that those characters exist in that universe, but you brought up the point that, how do you tell the difference between these They need to be by themselves. And I would give them to creators that are going to shake things up. Right. I would offer Mark Miller control of the X-Men universe. He did it with Ultimate X-Men. Yeah. I would be like, all right, you control Uncanny and you control X-Men. You're going to get, let's say, Will Spertasio, and you're going to get Mark Bagley, because I don't think he's drawn the X-Men. Screw it. Let's bring him in. Let's bring him in. And then let's go even crazier. He co-writes an X-Force book with Rob Liefeld, who draws it.
Oh my
God.
God.
Here's the thing. Everybody on this couch would check out that book.
I would read it.
Everybody would check out that.
So, I would read it.
But you make a plan. You make a 2-year plan with Mark Miller. And I agree with you. You start with like the original X-Men, and I would ask him to maybe create a couple extra and brand new characters into the universe. We have the core 5. Make a couple new ones, but
Morph, for example.
Maybe not Morph, but like the thing that has been forgotten about the X-Men, the thing that's been forgotten about this team is that the X-Men, when they were at their best, were international. They weren't all Americans.
Right.
And they're all Americans now. Or there's the X-Men that we've known for 30 years, so they've lost their national identity. Yeah. So I'd be like, okay, where is the Brazilian mutant?
Right.
Where is the where's the mutant from Bahrain?
Yeah.
Where is the mutant from India? Let's bring these world viewpoints back in the X-Men, because that's the reason why they did it, was to show you that mutants were not just
from here,
from America.
Well, the giant size X-Men. That big debut when you see all those X-Men. You got Kurt Wagner. You got
Germany, Canada,
Russia,
Egypt,
Africa.
Yeah, so I would bring that in to bring some flair, and also I would give attitude to these kids, because Sal is right. We kind of have become a society a little bit that the idea of mutants doesn't really transcend. It's there, but the time when everybody loves the X-Men is when when you love the X-Men the most?
When you're a kid.
When you're a teenager.
Yes.
Because you feel alone and you feel like you're special, and the X-Men taps that perfectly. So I would make the editorial mandate to Mark Miller that, hey, you need some teenage flair into this book, and that teenage flair is, what is the one thing that every teenager thinks they know? They think they know everything.
Oh, right.
So the X-Men...
they think they can solve all the problems?
They can solve every problem that humanity has never been to solve. And they're going to butt heads.
It's everybody.
Governments are going to hate them. And then you perfectly recapture, they hate and fear us. And it's because we think we know everything.
Right. Yeah. And we have magic powers that can destroy the world.
And we have magic powers and we're nuclear weapons. And I think pocketing them in their universe and tapping into that teenager zeal will really, really help refreshing this franchise. I think actually make the franchise last and not be completely absorbed by the Marvel Universe for a long time. And then also I would be like, hey, year 2 plans, New Mutants written by Brian K. Vaughan.
Oh my god.
Oh, okay.
And carte blanche, Brian. Carte blanche.
Yeah,
so
Brian K. Vaughan knows what he's doing, especially when it comes to young characters.
Yeah.
And trying to tap into the emotional connection.
I'll tell you what, I like all 3 of our versions better than what is currently happening.
Yeah, I'll take any of them. The best part is, what I like about it is that all 3 of them can exist. You could do all of those.
Yeah.
You could do an OGN. You could do, like, the Marvel Universe proper, and you could do the...
Mutants Reborn.
Mutants Reborn.
I love it.
That's a great first entry right out of the gate. That's what we call it, Mutants Reborn.
Hey, I got a question.
Yeah.
Has Charles Xavier's always been like, okay, mutants have to be accepted in this world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they killed them off, so that's really convenient because it's like you said, they are.
Yeah, nobody cares anymore.
You think they'll bring him back where instead of he'll be like, mutants have to be accepted in this world, he's like, I run a private school for gifted people, regardless of if they're a mutant or not, so they can get a regular education and also learn how to control their powers like a regular person in society.
Like, just he becomes an actual headmaster?
Right, like, instead of being like, just commander? Mutants, and I'm gonna create the segregation myself, while also saying, like, no, we have to put everything together.
I remember reading once, and I might have read this wrong, I want to say in a Wizards magazine or something like that Grant Morrison tried to do that.
Okay.
And Marvel nixed it.
Right.
I believe it. Yeah, I heard that he tried to do like, that the Xavier Academy was open to anybody.
Yeah.
You know, but like it was primarily mutants, but regular humans could go there.
Yeah, because it's like you must have all these other kids though out there, like occasionally here and there who have powers who are not mutants.
Right. And they need to learn how to use them too.
Right. So unless
there's no Avengers Academy.
Yeah,
I know there's a book called Avengers Academy, but it wasn't real.
But there's none of that. Like, you don't want, no offense to S.H.I.E.L.D., but like I don't want.
Yeah, you're not training soldiers.
Yeah.
Even though for the last like 70 years, Xavier's been training soldiers.
He has been training soldiers. And, and that was the other thing that the reason why I made my pick for Mark Millar is that that's something that he started to do in Ultimate X-Men that he kind of just ignored by the final arc. Was there's a lot of things in there where like there's a moment where I think Cyclops, he punches Wolverine at one point when Wolverine tries to kill him, and then later on Cyclops, the next issue, brings Wolverine back and forgives him because he was like, that's the first thing Xavier tells you, that violence solves nothing.
Right.
And that's another thing that I would be like, that's what the X-Men need, because if the mutants are going to change our society, they just can't act exactly like us.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah,
that's
true.
true.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Miller's also not a bad choice because he knows how to build a universe that where like this is the only bunch of these are all these superheroes.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you want to tell a story about a world with superheroes, you got the X-Men and that's it.
Yeah.
And that would create complications and make it kind of like humanity being like, oh, this is the world, like my reality. These are my superheroes.
Yeah.
It's the X-Men. Like I don't know if I like that.
Well,
I
think
that's cool.
Yeah, and that's also my main reason, like to keep them in their own universe. Like I understand it. Like they have a lot of great connections to Marvel characters, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But again, it's like I think those connections are hurting them now more than helping them.
I agree with that, but that's why I'm like, just break it, just scatter it.
I think that would be like a really interesting way to do it. Is that like so you have a Defenders book, you have a Damage Control book. But it's like the X-Men.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's like maybe 2/3 of them are X-Men.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute, whoa, am I reading a backdoor X-Men book here? It's like maybe.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. But don't worry, because like because of like the summit meeting that like no book will be called X-Men for the next 5 years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
exactly.
they're just on these teams. Like
it's amazing. They're literally in the perfect place to do this with Reed Richards' capabilities.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Reed Richards could be like, yeah, it sounds like a good idea. Pocket universe for you guys.
Well, before they did, before they finished Secret Wars, there was a lot of rumors out there that the X-Men were gonna go to their own planet.
Yes.
And then they just made it limbo. I think they originally probably had, because everybody was saying like, oh, that's what's gonna happen. That's when they're gonna go to a planet, and then it didn't happen. So that tells me that they probably changed it at the last minute.
I feel like they did.
Oh yeah, and now we're here.
And now we're in this.
And now
they're living in Central Park.
Yeah.
Well, some of them are.
Right.
Some of them are hanging out with Magneto.
Marvel has access to some of these great characters and some of these great teams and these great universes and these visceral characters that have a real, true connection with their audience. And they're just like, like you do something with them and go bold. Especially like, if you are subsidized by a larger corporation.
Yeah. Take some chances.
Take some chances.
Yeah.
If it's called X-Men, it'll sell. It doesn't have to be safe. It just has to be genuine.
Yeah.
Just try.
Yeah, because there was a time where the X-Men was the #1 selling title at Marvel for most of the 80s, and I think a good chunk of the 90s.
Yeah.
Like, it was always an X-Men title was #1.
Always.
And in the 80s, there's that famous story where the two #1 titles from both companies, it was Teen Titans and Uncanny X-Men.
Yeah.
And what? You know, but
hard to imagine today. But
but now the X-Men are such an afterthought because of the Avengers.
Yeah. Who would have thought that?
Yeah, I know, right?
If you were reading comics 20
Any
years
90s kid, you're just like, what?
The Avengers? Yeah. No, my favorite Avengers team is the Bendis Avengers. Which is basically just the Defenders now.
See, what I like about Jason's pitch is that it makes them awesome again. And
yes.
I mean that, like,
I want them to be awesome.
Like, it brings you back to that feel.
Yeah. They need a kick in the butt. And they need a writer that's not going to be precious with them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they need an editor that's not going to be precious with them either.
That's true.
Take some chances, because taking chances is how we got Amazing X-Men stories like this, how we got Amazing X-Men stories like Phoenix, and one of my favorite X-Men stories, Age of Apocalypse, was like a dare.
That blew my mind. Yeah, when they were like, oh, by the way, we're throwing it all out the window.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. That's one of our most requested stories on this channel, is Age of Apocalypse.
It's so good.
It's an alternate reality story. It's about fake X-Men.
You know what? And I reread it last year.
It holds up.
It mostly holds up. You're like, this is just cool.
Yeah, I have not read it since then. I have to. Yeah.
There's some dialogue that is very yeah. But most of
the
concept and most of the overarching story still holds.
It's really long, right?
Oh, it's 4 issues for every X-Men title.
And there were like 5 X-Men titles.
No, there were like I think 12.
X-Men titles. Yeah,
yeah. Because I think
I'm not counting like X-Men Omega and X-Men Alpha. I mean, Uncanny X-Men, Generation X. You know.
Yeah, there was I think there was like 10 or 12 titles that all got 4 issues. It's a big. Yeah. That's when they collect it. It's like collected in 5 trades.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the omnibus is huge.
Oh, it's a massive.
It's like, what are you gonna do with that?
But yeah, that's the X-Men we need again.
I agree.
And I don't think we've come anywhere close to the X-Men.
No.
Especially post Avengers versus X-Men.
Oh yeah. Avengers vs. X-Men was like, it was like some other idea that did not benefit the X-Men in any way.
No,
that was weird.
I guess it would also help if Marvel could just decide who they're gonna back, Inhumans or X-Men.
Well,
yeah.
Who do you want to care about more right now? Because right now you're not caring about either of them in the right way.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. Just try to focus on one for a little bit.
And I have a problem with. See, I'm an old school Kirby Inhumans fan. Mm-hmm. I love the Inhumans. I think they're amazing, and I love that there's an amazing Paul Jenkins, Jay Lee, Marvel Knights Inhumans miniseries, which is fantastic. Go check it out. But the Inhumans are much better when they're living in the mysterious city and you don't know what they are. Right? When you make everybody in the Marvel Universe an Inhuman, the concept is just so watered down that you're just like, who are the weirdos in colorful costumes?
Yeah.
For me, I like when the Inhumans are all the way over there.
Yeah.
I don't have to read about them if I don't want to.
Well, I don't. Yeah, you don't like it, but
I don't like them. They're Fantastic Four sub-characters for me.
Yeah.
But like at the same, I don't like the Inhumans, but I appreciate the concept, and I would rather see them over there in the shadows. Like, you know what my favorite version of the Inhumans is in Earth X.
Oh,
when they come out of the they're just like, oh, everything's messed up. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we can come out.
Yeah.
I
like to think about, to me, the Inhumans are Atlantis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you go to the city of Atlantis, if we were to discover the city of Atlantis, like, right off the coast of Manhattan tomorrow, Atlantis wouldn't be interesting anymore.
No. You'd be like, oh, there it is. Cool.
You'd be like, oh, all right.
Well, and every...
It has an Arby's.
No, it would be like if there was every third person or every 10th person was actually Atlantean.
Yes, there you go.
You're like, oh.
All right.
Cool.
So you're still Sal, but you're Atlantean?
Yeah.
All right, doesn't change anything.
And if I eat this thing, I can swim faster.
Cool, I guess.
Yeah.
Most people would not care, and that's the problem. Like, now that like every random person with powers in the Marvel Universe is Inhuman, they're not mysterious and weird anymore.
When everybody's super, nobody is.
Yeah, man.
It comes down to Sydney.
I really hope, actually, to be honest with you, I want a House of M type event, but for the
Inhumans.
Yeah.
Yes. That's coming when they get
Man, they could have done that with what was his name, Ulysses?
Yes.
Oh,
Ulysses could have been.
That could have been Civil War too.
Yeah,
would have been a much more interesting Civil War too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Civil War would have been. Yeah.
No more Inhumans.
Oh, I'm waiting for those 3 words.
Yeah.
Oh, and they could
then Black Bolt can talk.
Yes!
Or
you do the thing, Doctor Strange, and they create a bubble that protected just the X-Men, so they weren't affected by the No More Mutants.
Just the bubble
in the Tillin. Yeah. Or I've always called it Tillin, but it doesn't matter.
I don't know.
It's a made-up word anyway.
Yep.
But like the bubble over the hidden Inhuman city, that protects them, so the Inhuman royal family and the people who are there, they're just Inhumans.
Nice.
They're protected by that.
There you go.
Down.
So
I think we solved it. I think we fixed the X-Men and the Inhumans.
Yeah, exactly. It's a 2-for. You're welcome.
It's a double. It's a Marvel 2-for-1.
Yeah, they love that. So let us know in the comments, how would you fix the X-Men? And which one of ours do you like the best?
Ooh,
I'd like to find out.
Mine has Rob Liefeld.
Honestly, I like yours more.
I do too.
I like Edmonds more.
I'm
already voting for his.
I'm already buying it.
But check it out. But so
it'll be on sale 2020.
just as soon as the next X-Men movie tanks.
Yep.
Man. Whew. But Jason, where can everybody go check you out?
I do weekly videos every single week on youtube.com/Jawin, and then you can always listen to my podcast, Geek History Lesson, on iTunes.
Branding.
Yeah.
Check it out. Description box below this video.